Morning, Fred.
Hey, morning, fellas.
Hey,
Happy
Fred.
Monday.
Thank you. You too, my friend. Fred, when you were looking at like your stats from a year, did you which was more important to you? And for you, you may be a bad example because you were so doggone consistent in both of the categories. But is your total yards? Would that give you more value, or is it your yards per carry? And I say this because it's kind of I don't want to say it's like been untold. We know how much the running game suffered a year ago. I think we've tended to put a lot of it on the offensive line, the no continuity and a bunch of other reasons. But they went from averaging 4.7 a carry in 2022 to 3.6 a carry last year. That's significant, right? From top 15 to bottom 2 or 3, I think they were like next to last in the league. So which of those numbers are more important, the bulk of yards that you get or the per carry average with which you're being able to execute?
I think it's all relative, and it can be a bit skewed depending on the game situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the first and foremost, you want to just be able to make sure you're executing at a high rate and moving the ball. We get so caught up in these statistics that you can really miss the big picture. Execution is obviously the big piece. And, for example, if I'm in on short yardage and goal line, then my average per carry goes down because a lot of times that's 3rd and 1. But let me say this: I've had some situations where I was in short yardage earlier in my career. Let's say if it's 3rd and 1, I could take it 40-50 if the defense messes up or something like that, or even 4th down. Same thing with goal line, but goal line usually knocks down your average per carry. It cuts it right in half because we're talking about from the 2 or 3 yard line, sometimes the 1 yard line. And then if you're averaging, 10 carries, 5 yards a carry, 50 yards, you take one from the 1, then that changes your average.
Yeah.
Now you're under 5 per. So you have to look at it that way. But if you score, you're executing, then you're pushing the team forward. The only stat that I really looked at was coming in as a rookie. They said, well, no running back has rushed for 1,000 yards. Okay, boom, that's my goal. And then the next year, outdo the previous year and outdo that year and try to be in the top, 3, 4, 5 guys in the NFL rushing. And I would just run naturally. At the end of the game, no matter what my statistics were, I rated my game based on how I felt, if I helped the team. Stats really, 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 like at the very end of the day, stats didn't ultimately matter to me. I think if they had, and I put them at the forefront, I would have probably been in the Hall of Fame by now. If it mattered. I mean, I would have argued with Coach Coughlin not to take me out the game.
Right.
I would have argued with Jack Del Rio not to take me out the game, not to take me off short yardage. But in hindsight, I have this beautiful career average per carry.
Yeah.
Because of some of those things didn't happen.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
I mean, statistically, as a unit, you do want to be effective in the run game, but effective. When I say effective, I mean making sure you're keeping the chains moving. Whether that's if you executing at a 2-3 yard per carry average, but you're making all of the 3rd down conversions into 1st down, and then allow your team an opportunity to continue a drive. So it can all get a bit skewed. But I was up late last night on X, on Twitter, and this guy, Ryan Mitchell, he's a contributing writer for the Hall of Fame. And this is the first time I ever heard this. He goes, Fred Taylor averaged 102 yards from scrimmage over 127 game stretch from 1998 to 2007, which is a decade. He said, that's right, not a typo. It's 102 yards per game from scrimmage for an entire decade. That would be 1,737 yards per season at 17 games. To be able to do that again and again and again, multiply that by 10, he say, that's crazy. I don't understand why the guy's not in the Hall of Fame. But, I never really paid attention to statistics at the end of the day.
Sure. Hey, I want to talk numbers with you. I was looking back in 2003. I want you to tell me if this was contentious or not. I don't remember it being that way. You signed a 4-year contract extension worth at least $16.8 million, signing bonus of $8 million. You were 27. You were coming off a great year. You were in that's prime time for running backs. Do you take me back to that time and then how it kind of relates to what we just saw with Trevor and the deal that he just received? But your deal first, I guess Rosenhaus was your agent at that time, I believe.
Yeah.
And so
that's about what they make now. They're hardly going up.
Yeah, and hey, there hadn't been a whole lot of inflation in the running back position. I just going back, I guess, to that deal, which was my second deal in Jacksonville. I actually started to get some traction where I didn't have any injuries, but also in the back of my mind, I knew I had, gone through some stuff here. I am a, little kid who grew up poor, had an opportunity to still change my family's dynamics.
Right.
And I've never been greedy. I've always had to share my entire life, having grown up with 5 siblings in a 2-bedroom under my grandmother's watch. So, it was a time where I had already had some injuries. The money was decent. It was more money than I'd ever had. I can look around the league and say I wasn't far off, having signed an I actually had more years left on my deal, or I could have played out a year and became a free agent. So I said, a bird in the hand is better than 2 in the bush. Why go chase something? I got here to Jacksonville. My family's here. They're close. They can still see me play. If I go anywhere else, it could have been a bigger market team, but then now I got to potentially factor in taxes and all of that other stuff. So when we sat down to do the deal, at that particular time, I didn't want to risk anything having gone through injuries. I didn't want to come back that next year and try to play out a year, get banged up, and now the market's changed.
Right.
So it was a good market. It was a good time to sign. Plus, again, I like to operate sometimes when it's positive for me. I look back and I say, you know what? That was a blessing in disguise. Because if these extensions don't happen and I go and chase the money, then I don't chase legacy. Eventually, not chasing the money turned into legacy. My family, for generations, they'll have an opportunity to go in the stadium, wherever the Jaguars are, wherever the stadium is, and they'll be able to look at the Ring of Honor and see, my name in that stadium forever. I'm talking about forever. Not one generation, not 2, not 3, but the Taylor bloodline will be able to go to a Jaguars game for the eternity of the world and see my name right there in the stadium. And that's legacy. So, again, in hindsight, it's a blessing in disguise that I didn't go to another team. Well, aside from the end, I didn't have any say in that. I tried to stay in Jacksonville. I begged them to let me stay, but that's another story. But yeah, signing that deal actually was a good thing to happen, and I'm glad it happened.
So now Trevor signs this monster deal. What's the reaction in the locker room amongst the guys?
Well, they're excited for Trevor. They're definitely excited for Trevor. Now they want to go and win. At the very end of the day, I believe Trevor is 20-30 overall as a record. He sometimes when you come in with a big around your name, just you can play average. And when it's this time, they're saying, okay, well, we still have potential. You look at what he did a year before last year. You say, okay, this kid, he had something. The team played well. We had an opportunity. He did have some adversity, but we did have an opportunity to show his potential. Then a year ago, not so much because the injuries, the in and outs, and he showed a lot of grit and determination. Still trying to be out there, still trying to be a leader. The results weren't amazing, but the heart, the influence, the leadership, all of that was there. Those are intangibles. And then now it's time to say, okay, we could not sign him and let him play through it, or we can sign him and give him some motivation. So I think the players are happy for him. You have people around the league that are saying, "Oh wow, Jacksonville blew it," or they pulled the trigger prematurely, or looking at his stats, he doesn't warrant that contract. They said it about Kirk Cousins. I mean, he has to go out there and play.
Right.
Now he just has to go out there and play. He doesn't have to think about money for forever. That's the least of his thoughts right now going forward until he retires. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I'm glad to see Trevor is there. He can focus on his game. Hopefully we'll see that big leap that we're waiting to see. Like some of these top guys, these top 5 guys, and go from there. But man, he needs the entire Brinks truck. He needs every Brinks truck that they have.
Yeah.
It's the world of the NFL now and the quarterbacks, huh? It's just
sports,
amazing.
In sports in general, these guys are, I mean, Jalen Brown's making, $60 a year?
Yeah.
With the finals resuming tonight, it's a good time to be a pro athlete.
But if you even look at it, guys, if you look at the deal that the NBA is finalizing with the networks, that's north of 11 years. What is it, 70?
Yeah, well, the NBA players are so lucky because they have the worldwide audience, which makes their TV deals just as big as the NFL, only they don't have that 60-man roster. There's 15
They
of
don't
them.
have the big roster. Yeah. Correct. But you have, even with the salary cap creeping up each and every year, you'll see some of these NFL deals as large as a lot of the at least the mid-tier NBA deals, and then the guaranteed monies, which was a big topic of conversation, which we didn't have that luxury years ago. So the guaranteed money is a lot of the key as well.
Right. All right, Freddie. Well, good stuff as always. Always love catching up with you and appreciate you here in the as the NFL players are off and about and
won't be long. We'll be in the middle of camp.
Camp is just around the corner.
Yes, sir. I'll be there, man.
All right.
Good speaking with you guys. Always.
Thank you, Fred. All right, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right,
That's
fellas.
the Monday morning
Yes, sir.
running back, the pride of the Jags. It's Fred Taylor.